Morning,
Good morning,
Reverend
Reverend
Bush.
Bush.
Good morning, Reverend Bush. How are you?
Hi, good morning, Miss Hadley. How are you?
Morning, Miss Hutton.
I'm doing fine. How y'all doing?
All right.
Miss you
Pray.
sitting
Good.
here.
Good morning, everyone.
All
Good
right, good
morning.
morning, Miss
Morning.
Youngblood.
Think that's it.
Puppy, how are you doing?
Doing fine. I have 11:31, so we're going to go ahead and call our briefing to order. I'd like to say good morning to each and every one. Ms. Superintendent, do we have any public comments or presentation at this time?
No, sir. Not I'm aware of. Ms. Johnson, you're with me? No, sir.
Thank you. Next, we will review the agenda to give board members an opportunity to ask questions or to make comments. Will we need an executive session?
Yes, sir. We need one for personnel and fleeing. Do we have any legal? Yes. Is it personnel? Is it personnel relations? Okay.
All right. So we'll need an executive session for personnel and legal issues. Board members, do you have any questions or comments about the agenda? Item number 1, consideration of the approval of the minutes from the regular board meeting held on Monday, April the 11th. Are there any questions or comments? Excuse me, item number 2, consideration and recommendation for employment of personnel. Are there questions or comments? Item number 3, recommendation for release of personnel. Are there questions or comments?
I do, sir.
All
Mr.
right.
Chairman.
Ms.
Um,
Heath?
Mr. Superintendent, since I've been here a year now, and I've just observed the number of staff members who are leaving our district, and I know this has come up before. I would like to ask if we could do data analysis and break it down by schools, and so we can see if there's any particular thing. I know people are in their transit, they move, but there has to be something else. There may be something else, and I would just like to have that explored.
Ma'am, we can do that. We do track that data.
Okay.
We also exit interview surveys for those who will leave to see if there's a trend for reasons. And so we'll share that. We'll share that.
Thank you, sir.
Item number 4, consideration of recommendation to approve reappointment book for fiscal year 22-23. Are there any questions or comments? Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right.
Those items, if any specific items, that's part of the executive session. If there's any specific item regarding a specific individual, and I will also give you an update on some specific things that I think may need to be aware of as it relates to some actions being recommended in the real moment.
Item number 5, consideration recommendation to approve utility easement at 4C Academy from staff. Any? Yes, sir. Mr. Superintendent?
Sir, that was a recommendation that came, although they didn't go to the Building and Grounds Committee. Mr. Fowler did check with the members of that committee, and they were okay with bringing it forward to the full board cause at the time that it needed. Subsequent to the time we added it to the book, we did make contact with the Albany Utilities, and they responded after we submitted the easement request. So for full disclosure, we wanted to see if we can get Albany Utilities to get a separate meter on that, because there's one meter on it and we get charged based on the meter. If we don't put a separate meter on it, then we will get charged for our usage and Albany Tech usage. They cannot put a separate meter on it. So we do have a set of recommendations. We could allow the sanitary sewer easement, but not the water tower, which wouldn't cost us any more money in terms of meter usage. Or we could allow the water tap and monitor the usage of both Auburn Tech and BCSS, and then come up with some formula for shared costs. or we can deny utility easement. Those are the three options that we know of. I don't think the third one is a viable option. I think we need an easement, and we will be with if we do not come up with a resolution following either item recommendation 1 or 2, option 1 or 2, we'll come back to the board with another solution. But I would ask that the board go ahead and approve the easement with us following either allowing the sanitary sewer but not the water tap, so that we won't have to worry about the usage for that, or allow the water tap and allow our staff and our take staff to go with the formula that will share costs for the usage of the water. If we can do that,
Any question, board members?
Mr. Dyer,
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Poole.
are you and Dr. Parker in conversations about this, or what his,
yes, ma'am, we are.
so y'all two gonna come up
Right,
with this?
yes, ma'am, and we should come to a solution on it. If you can't come with one of those two that I feel is viable, then I'll certainly bring that back to the board.
Okay, because it says he was the one that was contacted. I was just
Right,
wondering.
they're building a new building, and they need that utility easement to tap into the city water.
Right, moving on to item number 6, consideration of recommendation to approve out-of-state field trips. Any question or comments? Yes, sir.
That's the robotics trip that Foresee Academy went on previously.
Right.
Sent the email out, we got enough sponsors for that.
Right.
And it's just ratifying that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Do we have any committee reports? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Superintendent, are you ready for your report? We'll listen to the superintendent's report at this time.
Chairman, before
Yes,
you-
Ms. Poole?
May I ask the superintendent a question?
Yes, ma'am.
What did they place at that? Because that was last week. Have we gotten any notice from that? Or you gonna tell us in the superintendent report? Yes, sir. I won't steal your thunder. I won't. I
All
saw
right.
that. I ain't never seen that look. It's been 12 years. I've never seen that look. That
Mr. Superintendent, go ahead.
Never mind. I regret that question. Ms. Smith, I've seen the look.
Can't hear you. What you saying there?
She told me I won't ever see that look.
All right, here goes the superintendent's report for April 28th, 2022. Of course, we'll start by going over our COVID-19 data. We'll look at our academic growth data as we get toward the end of the year. Have some celebrations, which may or may not include 4CA's update from Ms. Wu. And we have some other items as well as an executive session. As of yesterday, 7-day rolling average of cases in Dougherty County was slightly less than 3.5, at 3.43. That was 0.71 on April 11th. So as in terms of percentage-wise, it's a lot, but in terms of numbers, it's not very much. We're still up below the state average. Our 14-day spread is actually down to that. That's the higher at one point and went back down. So we're actually decreasing, still considered low. Positivity rate ticked up by 0.1%. As of yesterday, the FEMA does not do their daily updates anymore, but I was on our COVID-19 task force call for the county, and Joe Austin, the head of FEMA at the hospital, gave an update. Had 3 COVID-19 patients as of yesterday. It was 4 at our last board meeting. Now we had those meetings every other week, so these when I present to the board, it may be, may not be as of the date that it is right now. It just depends on how those meetings fall out with our board meetings. But the numbers are so low, when they get so low, they don't do daily updates anymore. It's there, which is a good thing for us. But if they do daily updates, that means the cases were at a So if they only have one person in the ICU that was a COVID patient, that person had been there for about 50 days. So new evidence. This is our vaccination update for the county. Not much changed. It ticked up by 0.2% for ages 5 through 9, 0.1% for ages 10 through 14, and overall, fully vaccinated, it went up by 0.2%. Everything else stayed the same. And with the numbers declining like they are, there's probably no sense of urgency to get the vaccine. We are going to continue to monitor cases. Georgia actually ticked up a little bit in terms of cases and positivity rate, but we're still below where we are in the state. I'm going to share something with you here, if I can. Some of you who were at the Georgia School Board Association summer conference last year may remember this. I'm going to play just a brief snippet. Is this? Can you? Oh, you can't hear this, can you? Hold on one second.
And the two groups I'm going to show you, this is a study by McKinsey. We did a lot of work, research with McKinsey and Company, the most respected research group in the country. And what they did was take, and you'll see on the right-hand side of this chart, it says 100. That is the average academic gain over the previous 3 years, pre-pandemic. Average academic gain in this country over the previous 3 years, nationwide. And the two groups I'm going to show you are for those students which were predominantly students who were white. And on the left-hand side, the darker bullet, those who were predominantly districts of students of color. Average increase in reading. And as much as that is problematic, we got to figure out how to close that gap. Math is much worse. It doesn't surprise me, but boy, it's hard to look at math. And year by year, it got worse. Grade by grade. Ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to make that up in the summer session. This is a multi-year journey to recapture that. To recapture that.
That's nationwide data that was presented at the 2021 summer conference for the Georgia School Board Association. Some of you that were in attendance saw that. Some of you that were in attendance at the Summer Leadership Institute saw this. It's a much longer presentation, about an hour long. This is just a snippet, and it's just to put things in context. The green line with the 100, that's the average academic growth over the 3 years prior to the pandemic. And the other two numbers on each line represent a percentage of that growth that was achieved after the pandemic, with the blue dot being students with over 50% white and middle age or higher, middle income or higher households, and the black dot being the households, students of color who were economically disadvantaged. So, in reading in K through 5, the average for minority households and households that were economically disadvantaged learned about the growth was about 77% of what typical growth would be for a year. In math, 59% for K through 5 average. Kindergarten, 80%. First grade, 66%. So on all the way down to fifth grade, it's just 37% of what was typical. And you hear Dr. Daggett, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with Dr. Daggett. He said this is not not gonna make this up in a summer session. It's a multi-year journey to get kids back to where they need to be. And we've been saying that here. And we have a plan for that. And that's why we do the Race to Learn. That's why we do the extended day in terms of increased learning time. That's why we do after school, Saturday school. That's why we have our summer program. That's why we have high dosage tutoring available for people who, for after school, when they have problems after school, they can call and get tutoring from a third party. That's why we have math core. That's why next year we're probably going to start reading core, because it's going to take a lot of those strategies, a lot of those components that's part of an overall strategy to impact this. JD, what I get back to you. Oh, I just do this. Don't worry about it. I start back. We have an overview. This is some data that was presented to the Instructional Accountability Committee last week, and I thought it would be good to share with the whole board. It's going to give you some good information in terms of the growth that we've seen, but also some sobering data to let you know how that we are still off from where we would typically be in a school year. This is information about the CCRPI. We won't go into that because we're going to have a pretty lengthy executive session. Reading inventory, beginning of the year, as in August, 55% of our students were below basic in terms of their reading inventory. That's to begin the year. October is 52%. January is 47%. And now we have 44%. So we made some gains, but it's going to be still a challenge. Just as a summary, we moved for the whole year. We're going to look at from August to January. Look at from August to March. 678 students moved from below basic. 141 students moved into basic. 361 moved into proficient, and 176 moved into advanced. I read inventory growth by cluster. You'll see the average Lexile by cluster: Northside, Radium, Robert Harvey, Turner. We see growth with Northside starting at 243 average. We go into 413, 323 at Radium to 470. You'll see that they're all progressing, they're all growing. You see that here as well with the Monroe cluster. You see it with the Westover cluster and with our Magna cluster. Our middle schools, you see growth. And it's hard to get that growth in middle school. It's hard to get that growth in middle school because once they below grade level so long, it's hard to get that done. This is going to show you something. It'll show you the growth, but also show you what's considered proficient by grade level. So you'll see this is by grade. You'll see third grade Alice Clipper started at 91, and they've gone to 520 in third grade, which is tremendous growth, greater than typical growth. But I'm sorry, went to 167. I'm sorry, but the grade level is 520. That's what's expected at that grade level. In fourth grade, 334, they go into 443. The grade level expectation is at 740. 433, they started in fifth grade to 546, but grade level expectation is 830. So you see the growth. You should also see how far off you are from what the expected range is. This is, if we look at the third graders, their last regular school year was probably kindergarten. The first grade year, we got disrupted 3/4 of the way through. Last year was on again, off again, partly hybrid, some in person, some virtual. And for some people, it was all virtual. If the parents chose to keep them out the entire year. And this year, even though it was a little closer to normal, still not quite normal. So their last regular, a normal school year, was kindergarten. You can imagine the foundational learning that they lost, missed out on. And then fourth grade, their last normal year was first grade, and fifth grade, their last normal year was second grade. And so the information that you saw from Bill Daggett is kind of confirmed with the data that we see here. You're seeing growth. Our teachers doing a good job of growing our students, but because of the disruptive learning that took place, you saw the slippage, and so they're not where they need to be in terms of gross achievement. If we continue on this trajectory, though, over the next 2 to 3 years, we do anticipate making that gap up. But like Dr. Daggett said, now that one summer session is not going to do it, 2 summer sessions is not going to do it. It's going to take us being intentional with evidence-based strategies and intensive intervention in some areas to help students make that gap. That's why we provide internet at home so kids can have access to the instructional materials and support at home. That's why we're paying for third-party tutoring. They can call while they're at home. They have questions about homework or about a concept. We're doing everything we can to help make that gap up. But the gap is significant. And if we don't do something, it's going to remain significant. So our students deserve better, and that's what we're trying to give. We appreciate the board's support and allocating those resources to help our students make up that gap that Dr. Daggett spoke about in that presentation. I'm not going to go through all of these, but you can see the growth. Third grade bonus hour went from 64 to 279, but it's still a little more than half of where it needs to be. The fourth grade is a lot better. Fifth grade is good, but still a gap between where they're expected to be at that grade level. We'll go through these, and I'm going to share this with you so you'll get a chance to dissect it. I'm not trying to overwhelm you with a bunch of data and charts at the board meeting. I put it all in here, so when I send it to you, you can look at it. If you have any questions, you can certainly call me with it. But I just wanted to put it in here, let you know what was in here, let you know what it signifies. The first column is where they tested in August, then October, then January, then March, and then the last 2 columns shows the grade level Lexile, and then the mid-level Lexile that we look at for CCRPI points. So Lincoln is actually over the year. In March, they're over the grade level Lexile, and then also over the mid-level Lexile for CCRPI. So they, but if you look at the gap they have, didn't start as low as some of the other schools. They started much higher, and that demographic is closer to the demographic that you saw on the right side of the chart that Bill Daggett presented. Same thing with Lake Park. You see Robert Cross has surpassed the mid-level Lexile as well. But again, demographics, right. Beacon data, we'll go through this, just show you the growth in terms of where students are now as opposed to where they were in the fall. You'll see, particularly at Live Oak, you'll see 86% were near target, and at spring assessment, they're 42% near target. At in the fall, that's a 44 percentage point increase. You'll see 35 percentage point increase at Lincoln, 20 percentage points increase at Lake Park, with 82% being near target. But in terms of percentage growth, you'll see 56 percentage point increase at Robert Harvard, 50 percentage point increase at West Town, 49 percentage point increase at Lamar Reese. So the growth is taking place. It's just that the impact of that disruptive learning that caused them to miss so much instruction over the last 2 years, probably not going to put them at grade level like we would like to see. But again, if we continue with this level of growth over the next 2 or 3 years, we'll make that gap up. There we go in math. In fourth grade rather. And again, you'll see the percentage increases and the growth difference rather. This is just another depiction of that by school that we won't go into. Overall math inventory, and he said math was more troubling than ELA nationwide. We're seeing that here too. 85% below basic at the initial screen, 83% in the fall, 74% in January, and 68% in March. So you see the growth. But those foundational skills, if you miss those foundational skills in math, it'll be hard to build on in the upper grades. And again, this is in keeping with the data that Dr. Daggett presented. Math was more troubling than ELA. But even with that, 512 students moved from below basic, 389 moved into basic, 119 moved into proficient, and 50 moved into advanced. Celebrations. Any questions about that data?
I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
How much of an impact has long-term subs and substitutes played in this data?
We haven't looked at that to that level just yet, but what we will do, what we do every year, we look at the classrooms that had long-term subs, and we look at the student growth in that particular classroom. And typically what we see is when you have a long-term sub or a teacher who's frequently absent, whether it's all year at one time or frequently throughout the year, you see lower levels of student achievement in those classrooms. That's why we try so hard to get teachers in the classroom and not substitutes. They do the best they can, but if they're not trained in that content area, they don't have the content knowledge, they just can't really provide the level of instruction that our students need for them to grow. So yeah, that's what we haven't looked at it this year yet. We are going to look at that as we do it in our other years. We do, and that's a trend. You see that, and that's consistent not just with Dougherty County, but other school systems across the country as well. That's why it's so critically important to get these teachers in the classroom, qualified teachers in the classroom, provide them with the support that they need to help our students to grow. That's an excellent question. I appreciate that. Any more questions about that data?
I'm sorry. And I know in time past we've had programs that the community embraced. Is there anything coming in the near future that the community can assist? Because they have out of school times, could community members assist in some sort of fashion? Your staff can think about things that we can do in the community, at our local churches, at our local Boys and Girls Club, those type programs that we can assist throughout after that time frame, that we can help to assist that.
Yes, ma'am. We have several partnerships already. One with Second Mount Olive Community Outreach. They have the 21st Century Grant that they provide after-school support for our students. In many cases, they use our teachers to provide that instruction. So they use certified teachers, and they have aligned their after-school support with the needs that have been identified using this data. So they try to provide support in those targeted areas. Of course, the 21st Century Grant requires them to have a meal period, which is about 30 minutes, requires them to have enrichment period. So they only have about 2 hours of academic support, but the 2 hours of additional support is worth it's better than nothing. And the kids do need enrichment as well. So that we do that. We also the Boys and Girls Club secured a GEAR grant through Governor's Emergency Education Relief Fund grant through ESSA funding, and they have partnered with New Hope Baptist Church, Mount Zion Baptist Church, and they provide some support in their centers for out-of-school academic support, similar to that of Mount Olive Community Outreach using the 21st Century Grant. And so they are in several of our schools where they provide that support. We also have sites at Mount Zion and at New Hope and at the Boys and Girls Club itself. So we are partnering with those entities, and we're in the process of developing an RFP to invite other community organizations to provide support during the school year and over the summer. And we plan to use our ESSA funding to help support those activities, because we can't do all of what I say is it takes a village, and we have the resources to help support those activities, and that's what we intend to do over the next 3 months. So I'm glad you asked that question. Yes, ma'am. Any more questions about the academic performance data? If not, we'll move on to celebrations. ASU dual enrollment on April 14th, Auburn State recognized students who completed their dual enrollment pathway. 26 dual enrollment students who will be completing their associate degrees this spring semester. Yes, ma'am. Auburn Tech on April 24th, they held their dual enrollment Take It to the Next Level ceremony, which high school students were recognized for their accomplishments of earning a diploma or technical certificate during the spring. So they've actually done a great job of that as well. Westover boys basketball team, of course, as we discussed previously, the city and county held a recognition for them Tuesday, April 26th, outside on the square in front of the government center. I think some of you may have been in attendance. Westover's girls track and field team won the region championship, and we also see where Monroe's girls team came in third, and on the other side, the boys, Monroe and Westover finished third and fourth. But this is honor Westover's girls track team for being the region champs. Tyler Miller is a junior at Dougherty High School, won a congressional art competition for the second congressional district of Georgia, and it is for the entire second congressional district, not just Dougherty County. And it's the 40th competition for this award, and Tyler's artwork will be presented in on the halls of Congress, and they say on the Cannon Tunnel, which is a busy corridor in the Cannon office building, and so a lot of people will get a chance to see his artwork, people from across the country and across the world. And it is important to note that Andrea Smith, who's also a junior at Dougherty High, she won second place. The third place was from a high school in Columbus. There was an honorable mention from a high school in Columbus as well. But Dougherty County did well in their art presentation with this competition. Keeping with the theme of arts, Miss Fox, Charlene Fox, is a ninth grade. She's a ninth grader at Westover. She placed second in the state at the Kiwanis Club art competition. Ms. Poole, the College and Career Academy, the Commodores, the robotics team for the 4CA. As you know, they finished third in the state. They won 2 competitions in Columbus and Albany, and they finished the season ranked 4th in the state. They were one of 9 teams that qualified for the first World Robotics Competition in Houston, Texas. And although we didn't win the grand prize, the championship, they did win a judges award for the innovation of their robot and the projects that they discussed when the judges came and did their assessment. So we're very proud of them. This is their 3rd time making it to Worlds in 5 years of competition. And so there were teams from all over the world. The number one ranked team coming in was from Israel. We had a team from Shanghai, China. I met those 2 groups. We had teams from literally all over the world. 20,000 people with 6 courses going on at one time. It was something else, and we held our own, and we look forward to going back. Commodore Conyers College and Career Academy. I have to say it slowly. You know, I talk fast. That's right. I see Coach Pooh, but I need to make sure I say that. The Commodore Conyers College and Career Academy robotics team.
Thank you.
And also celebrations. Administrative Professional Day was yesterday, and we have some of the best administrative support we could ever find in the Dougherty County school system. I'm partial, and I've had 2 of the best ever with Ms. Wright when I was on the 2nd floor in my CFO role, and right now with Ms. LaWanda Johnson, who keeps me straight. I recognize.
Yes!
see the feeling is mutual. So, thank you, Ms. Johns, for all you do, man. And I'm saying this now because we won't have another board meeting prior to this, but May 2nd through 6th is Teacher Appreciation Week. So I want to make sure we recognize our teachers, because when we have another board meeting, it would have passed. So I want to make sure we say that now. And our teachers do a wonderful job every year, but over the last 2 years, they've certainly had a Herculean effort in meeting needs of our students, and both academic and non-academic, and very challenging. And they've done an excellent job meeting those challenges. Other information, tomorrow our Heavy Hands end of the year celebration will be at the Civic Center, beginning at 9 o'clock. On the 30th, we have a virtual career fair for special education teachers. The garden event, the blessing and community event for the Commodore Gardeners, will be May 5th. We also have a seminar on how to do business with the DCSS. That's a way to improve access for all businesses, particularly those small and disadvantaged businesses, to know what they can do in order to have opportunities to do business with us. There'll be technical training on signing up for Georgia Procurement Registry, and all those things that they need to do, and not only to get an opportunity for more business with the Dougherty County school system, but statewide, because when they register for the Georgia Procurement Registry, they get notices from all over the state when bid opportunities come up in their areas of expertise. Our 2022 Teacher of the Year Bank will be held Friday, May 6th. That'll be the coordinating event for Teacher Appreciation Week. Our retiree banquet will be the week of graduation, is May 18th at the Hilton Garden Inn. Of course, our graduation exercises will be May 20th and 21st. Then our board planning session, strategic planning session, will be May 24th and 25th. We're working with the Albany Chamber of Commerce to do a joint conference at least part of that time, and it will be held at Resort. There's an opportunity here. You know, the board has to have 3 hours of required training, the whole board training. Typically we have it in June. There's a possibility that we could have it. The strategic planning retreat is scheduled to start midday on the 24th and go through the 25th. If the board chooses to, we could have the whole board training the morning of the 24th, then have lunch, and then we transition into our board training. So that'll be 2 whole days, but it won't be another day. You have to come back in June to do whole board training. So Ms. Johnson will send that information out to you. Some of you may have already planned items for have something planned for that morning of the 24th. But if not, then we do have availability to do training in terms of person from the GSBA to come in and do it. So Ms. Johnson will send an email out to see if everyone is available on the 24th. And if you do prefer to have that whole board training at the beginning of our retreat, then we can certainly make that happen. And then finally, the summer conference, GSBA summer conference, will be held June 9th through 11th. I think those who are interested have already signed up. We're working on hotel rooms right now. They opened it up today, I think at 10 o'clock, and by 10:01 they were booked. Mr. Johnson was able to get some rooms, not enough for everyone, but we are working on that. That's just a flyer that we've been using on social media to advertise for the career fair. That's what we've sent out to businesses regarding how to do business with the DCSS. And that's the flyer that we've been sending out about our graduation times. There has been some question about whether or not we have attendance requirements. There are no attendance requirements. There are no tickets being issued. So anyone who will, let them come. They're certainly welcome. If conditions change, which I hope they will not change, we reserve the right to make adjustments with that. But as it stands right now, it looks like we'll be able to have our graduation ceremonies with very few restrictions. Next, executive session for personnel, litigation, and student issues. Are there any questions, Mr. Chair?
I don't have any board members. Do you have any questions to the superintendent about his report, Reverend Bush?
Yes, I just want to ask if there will be a way that the state board would allow, or if they have a method of having people virtually for the meeting in Savannah.
I think they have a virtual link, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Well, I think you registered, Reverend Bush, for virtual.
Thank you very much.
Okay, are there any other questions about the superintendent report? Okay. Hearing none, we're gonna go into executive session now, Mr. Superintendent. Can we get a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second, Hudley.
All right, probably motion and second, we go into executive session. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? We are now in executive session. open up our meeting.
Way outside.
Yeah, but by the time we start doing it on the side.
We'll call our regular meeting to order. We stand and have a pledge of allegiance. Moment of silence.
I got you in time.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a motion for the adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Second, adoption of the agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No opposes? Then we have a motion for the approval of our minutes from our regular board meeting held on Monday, April 11th.
So moved.
Second, Hadley.
Motion is second for the adoption of our minutes that was held on Monday, April 11th. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Was that an opposed? Somebody opposed?
No, I
Okay.
was just slow
All
supporting.
right. All right, thank you, Ms. Huntley. No opposed. I will entertain a motion to approve a consent agenda item through 6
Hadley, so moved.
Second.
with as we discussed in executive session.
Oh, my apologies.
Okay. So motion.
Hadley, so moved.
Second.
All right. All in favor of consent agenda say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No opposes? Okay. Anything else? The superintendent, do you have anything else? Any board member have anything else at this time?
I did have a question, Mr.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Pooh.
Mr. Superintendent, you had given us a report a while back about the custodians. Does that have changed? I misplaced that one myself, but has that information changed for us? Our custodians' employment? Have we been able to secure more, or how is that?
We still have a vacancy. We have. It's not 32 like it was at one point. The board approving the additional pay for the not additional pay, but the pay increase for the custodians, as well as we were having our custodians pay. We're taking out that check for their uniform. So we have a uniform service, and when I met with them, they brought that to my attention. I thought we had stopped that, and we had not. We did it for our school nutrition employees, but not for our custodial employees, not for our facilities employees. So, to make a long story short, we did that as well. We picked that cost up now, and as we should have a while ago. And so, in my opinion, we have more money than they do, I think. So we didn't do that. I thought about that. Now I was overruled. I could have vetoed, but I didn't veto. It was around the same time we got the $2,000 supplement, so I figured they were okay. Yeah, but they were pleased with that. They were pleased with that, so we have seen a decrease in our vacancies, but we still have a long way to go in terms of providing them with other items and to be competitive. And we'll have some recommendations for all of our employees moving forward as we look at trying to create an environment so that our employees feel supported. Not create an environment, maintain an environment where they feel supported. They like to come to work, and it's not necessarily about creating a competitive advantage right now. It's about keeping up. We just real quickly. It's a little off topic, but we next year, first year teachers in Dougherty County make $47,500. $47,500 to $49,000. Special ed teachers make $49,500. I had a friend, his daughter just graduated about a year ago from Albany State. And not to make a long story short, she just accepted the job. She turned down several. He was getting a little frustrated, but she accepted the job in Dallas, making $71,000 a bachelor's degree with a company car, $7,000 moving allowance, relocation expenses, company car for unlimited business and personal use. Company credit card where she can put gas in the car, whether she's going on a business trip or whether she's going home. And we can't afford that. I'm just glad they're not looking for as many folks that we're looking for in terms of teachers. They only have a few of those jobs going around. But she's a bachelor's degree with no experience. And so the market out there is very tough. And teachers don't have a lot of flexibility. They're pretty much in the classroom 6 to 7 hours a day for 9, 10 straight months. Not include weekends and a few holidays. And so that's something that we can't change. The things that we can't be compared to, we need to be compared with. And we're looking at that not just for teachers, but for employers in general. What are they offering? So we can match that. If we can sustain it, we want to match that. We can, so that we can be more competitive when we go out looking for teachers. Thanks for that, Ms. Poole. I know I gave you an answer to more than you asked for, but I thought that was a
No,
good
I was
opportunity.
asking because for some reason, spring break, I ran into almost every custodian in Albany, and they were concerned about the square footage per building versus how many custodians was on site. I had everywhere from pay, that there's more people in one building than they're having the other one. There are smaller buildings with, so I did address to each one that I would ask that question, and we'll get that information back out to each one of them of how many schools had what custodian, because they were swearing it was uneven. I had one at Walmart for almost an hour to discuss all the work that they do, and people they don't have control over who takes off vacation.
Or vacancies. Yeah, we do have a formula for how many custodians per square foot, and because we have 30 vacancies, that formula was skewed. I mean, it was off, and but we'll be getting fully staffed. Then we have that, and typically when we have people out, we backfill them with subs. We using all our subs to fill the folks that were for the vacancies, and we still have.
So that
vacancies.
information can be shared with them. My summer break won't be filled with
Okay,
information.
we've shared it before, and we'll continue to do that. We're looking at solutions for that. There was some discussion about outsourcing some of our buildings, and we're going to continue to look at that as well. I know some folks were not. I think some folks got some information that really wasn't what we were trying to do, from what I heard when I talked to the head custodians.
Okay.
And but anyway, we'll look at that again. We're looking at every option that we have available to us to because if we don't, there's not going to be fair to them. They work hard already, and when they're down by 20%, 25%, then it's just almost possible for them to do it.
All right.
Thank
Mr. Chairman,
Bush, yes. Go ahead, Reverend Bush.
Mr. Dye, this can be a yes or no answer. You don't have to elaborate. Do we still have our janitors on trial for 6 months or whatever?
Are you talking about the substitutes?
Any of them? Anybody in our system? Do we have anyone still 6 months on probation? You know, the trial thing before they're hired.
No, we have a provision. I think what you referred to as some of our substitutes, they remain as subs for months on end. And that was a practice that was continuing. We've discontinued that, and I think with the next board meeting, all of our subs that are satisfactorily performing will be brought on as full-time subs. I mean full-time employees.
Thank you, Mr. Dye.
Yes, sir.
Are there any other questions for board members? No? Can we get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.